You made it to Coach Kinsley's Fit Update, where we put the personal into personal training, talking about my week, fitness, nutrition, and more. Let's talk. Well, let me save my update for the end. Producer Mike, tell us about your week.
Well, Coach, my week was spent partly in California.
Ooh.
I did my fitness photo shoot. It was an experience, let me tell you.
He's a star.
Well, I'm going to be a star for this company to sell their program to new clients. It turns out that this is going to be part of the sales package, but I guess if you want to sell it, I have a pretty good story to sell. They had me, I was third on the call sheet, so I stood around a lot of the day, but then when I started my thing, one of the first things they had me do, believe it or not, was stand in front of a grill and grill some fish.
Some fish? That's so funny. Wow, good thing you practiced before you went.
If you had told me when I was making my New Year's resolutions back in January, because originally I wanted to run a marathon. If someone had reached out from the future and said that, hey, you're not running a marathon, homie, they're going to film you grilling fish in California, I would have said, you don't know what you're talking about. That was really just a surreal moment to think I am in California. Somebody is filming me grill fish. Crazy how things pivot, isn't it, Coach?
It's amazing what you can do in so little time.
Considering my age and where I was at in my life and the path I had charted for myself, to think where I was training with you when I first walked through those doors at that regional gym to where I'm at now, it's just really is amazing. You know, I think I was able to express that because I also did an interview where I got to talk up my story. But they also filmed me doing a workout. You know, that was the whole reason I was there. And they pulled out these weights. I think they were 30s. And they said, well, can you?
Light work.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they were like, well, can you curl these? I was like, yeah. Anyway, it was really a surreal, fun experience. And this was in California, so it was a real video production crew. So I got the whole experience. They had a craft table, and it's California, so we had a bunch of healthy salads for lunches. So my nutrition, I will say, was pretty on point because of that. My 3 days while I was out there, my travel day, I don't like to eat heavy, hardly anything on travel days. That was a good nutrition week. It was a good workout week because I worked out Monday and then I worked out again on Tuesday for the crew. Wednesday, I traveled, so I took that day off. And then once again, Coach Kinsley class on Thursday, caught some HIIT training. HIIT training with Coach Kinsley is a different animal altogether. So because I know that she's going to push and push and push, I just kept my mouth shut and did the best I could. It's always sort of nostalgic to hear Coach yelling, 3, 2, 1, and then me just collapsing on the floor again. But HIIT training, again, it's something that I haven't been doing for a while now, and my body clearly needs to do it. So I'm still learning. I'm still adjusting. I think next week I'm going to start up again with heavy resistance training, Coach. So that's where I'm headed with my nutrition and fitness from last week into next. And Coach, how was your fitness and nutrition week?
My fitness and nutrition this week was pretty good, I would say. I traveled last weekend and I ate a generous amount, but I felt so good. Like sometimes you just need to recover and that's it. It was all healthy things, but I knew, some of those meals were a little more calories than I would usually have. But I felt really good and honestly, I looked good too. So I'm not going to trip about that. And I feel like it set me up for a really good workout week as well. I got some massage done to my shoulders, and it was enough to really set me up for a really good upper body day on Monday. Still went a little light listening to my body, but the next day I felt practically brand new. So I think that speaks to the balance between rest and pushing through. Sometimes people get where they just rested too long and now the muscle is weak. And I want to make sure I don't end up there in any of the muscle groups. And the rest of the week, I did a lot of HIIT training. That was kind of the focus this last week, just a kind of a break from the heavy lifting.
So, Coach, with Thanksgiving,
went to two different families on Thanksgiving, so that was a blessing. Very grateful for my friends and family here.
Coach, let me ask you, were you concerned about overeating, eating too much? Because I know when you go to people's houses, they tend to want you to just eat what they put out, which, I used to happily do. And I'm happy when people come to our house and eat what we put out. So do you worry about that, especially on these kind of holiday kind of meal things?
Not so much. Two reasons. One is because a lot of the people that I would go to their house respect my profession. So they end up choosing healthier options because they know, oh, Kinsley's going to be there. Oh, Coach is going to be there. So one of the houses I went to was a client friend. She had a lovely setup. It was delicious and just all really good choices, protein focused.
Nice.
And the other place I went was with my boyfriend's family. Just same thing. I feel like people really consider me when I go. Now, culturally speaking, making sure that you make your plate lighter the first time so you have room to make it appear like you got a second is important. So there's some method there. Like my family being Caribbean, that's definitely something I make sure I do.
Yeah, I set my plate so that I can go for seconds. It's a light load the first time and a light load the second time, which I don't tend to finish, but people are glad that I go twice. And you kind of want to set an example for your own food. And then I usually have a little dessert. I tend to get at least a light walk out of the way or maybe spend some time on the elliptical while I watch a little football. So I do make sure, given enough time, that I hit something light, even though I don't really tend to overeat like I used to. It is a lot of eating and it is a lot of carbs. So I
Mhm.
want to make sure that, at least psychologically, I'm doing something to kind of lighten the load a bit.
Yeah, and one day of overeating will not offset a year of hard work. So I have a lot of faith in my consistency all the other days of the year. Where most people tend to gain weight around the holidays here in the USA, like Thanksgiving to Christmas time, November and December, is because of all the stuff in between. I should even throw in from Halloween. Some people will do the trick or treating and then they have candy that they're snacking on all the way up until Thanksgiving. And then Thanksgiving isn't just a day because then you have football stuff, right? And you have all the leftovers. And now there's all the candies and the giving and the advent calendar for the Christmas time. So it's really one day, 2 days even, is not going to offset a year of hard work. It's all the choices in between.
That's a great update, Coach Kinsley.
That's a great update, Producer Mike.